Rhea Ripley, better known in more recent years as Mommy, has been on top of the WWE Women's Division for some time. Her recent injury aside, she has constantly provided some of the best moments on WWE TV since aligning herself with the Judgment Day. But that obviously wasn't always the case. See, I'm not saying she was disliked or anything, but for quite a while she was kinda just there. A talented wrestler for sure, but somewhat of a directionless babyface. Today, I want to talk about that growth and how this woman became the mommy we all want to break our became the incredible and well-rounded performer we all know and love today. If you guys have seen my Dominik Mysterio video that was structured just like this, you'll know that we hit the goal of 200 likes to get this video. So for this video, if you'd like to see something like this, but instead about bisexual Undertaker, Damian Priest, I'll be setting that same like goal of 200 likes again, and if you guys manage to hit that, I'll be sure to have that one out for you guys ASAP Rocky. Oh, and while you're down there hitting the like button, be sure to let me know what your favorite Rhea Ripley moment is in the comments down below. And subscribe also while you're down that way. Alright, so Rhea Ripley, if you didn't already know, started with the WWE back in 2017 at the age of 20 during the inaugural Mae Young Classic. In that tournament, she made it to the second round before being beaten by Dakota Kai. She displayed some promise as a competitor in the squared circle, as well as was noted to be very coachable by trainers when prepping for the event. This is something very important to just about any skill in the world, but being coachable in wrestling means that you have a lot of potential off-rip. Her performance generally impressed WWE officials, and because of that she was offered a developmental deal to improve her ring work. Ripley would appear in NXT for a short while before competing in the 2018 edition of the Mae Young Classic, where this time she would make it all the way to the semi-final before losing to Io Shirai, aka Io Sky, for the non-NXT viewers. However, in this run of the tournament, she would display a new look and character, with something of a mean streak that looks more similar to the mommy we know today. Following that tournament though, Rhea would be moved over to the NXT UK brand, where she was quickly shot straight to the top of the women's division as she competed in yet another tournament, this time to decide the inaugural NXT UK Women's Champion, where she would defeat the likes of Dakota Kai and Toni Storm to secure the gold, thus making her the first Australian female champion in WWE history, and second Australian overall, with her boyfriend Buddy Murphy, aka Buddy Matthews, being the first ever Australian to capture gold in the WWE, having captured the NXT tag titles back in 2015. Ripley would hold onto the gold and defend it against the likes of Deonna Purrazzo and Isla Dawn until eventually dropping it to Toni Storm at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. However, this would not be Ripley's final time with a title in WWE, as following this she would spend some time in NXT UK feuding with Piper Niven among others, before being moved over to the main NXT brand where she would challenge the at the time unbeaten Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's title, turning face by doing so. Before their actual singles match for the title though, Ripley would be pushed to the moon as part of the 2019 Survivor Series event, where she essentially beat both Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions at that time, aka Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks, in a triple threat. Before Ripley then went on to lead her team to victory in the women's 5-on-5-on-5 elimination match that year at Survivor Series. She also won alongside her team at NXT War Games that year as well, before getting an opportunity to take on Baszler for the gold properly, which occurred on the 18th of December episode of NXT, where she managed to defeat Shayna clean as a whistle to end her reign, and became the first woman in history to hold both the NXT UK and NXT Women's Championships. Ripley would hold on to the championship until WrestleMania 36, where Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair challenged her for the title. The pair put on what was genuinely a really good match, however it was severely hindered by the simple fact that the pair faced off inside the Performance Center for Mania. After dropping the title to Flair, she would still be involved in the title scene, but after a few months of her proving unsuccessful against the likes of Flair and Io Shirai, who took the title off of Flair in a triple threat, Ripley would have her final match in NXT against Raquel Rodriguez, where the Nightmare would lose to the best back in wrestling in a last woman standing match. From here, a few months later, Ripley would be moved to the Raw brand as a heel, where she would come out and challenge then Raw Women's Champion Asuka to a match for the title at WrestleMania. I might be biased because I'm a pretty big Asuka mark, but this match was really good in my opinion. The following night on Raw, Charlotte Flair interrupted in a rematch between Asuka and Ripley. From here, Rhea would feud with both Asuka and Charlotte, before Ripley and the Queen faced off at Money in the Bank, where she would drop the title to Flair, who was cashed in on by Nikki ASH following the match. After this run with the Raw Gold, she would be paired with Ash for a short time, where the tandem captured the WWE Women's Tag Team titles from Natalya and Tamina. They only held onto the gold for a handful of months before dropping the straps to Queen Zelina and Carmella, and after they dropped the titles, Nikki turned on Rhea by attacking her, which led to a short feud which Rhea ended up winning. Following that though, Ripley then teamed with Liv Morgan in an attempt to recapture the tag gold, which ultimately proved unsuccessful. Now to take a step back and slow down for a moment, I've now notated 3 times Ripley has been placed at the top of the women's division during her time in the WWE. However, there was at this point a lot lacking in my opinion as far as her presentation goes. While she was the champion on all of these brands and generally put on good performances, there was something missing.
Come on, Rhea!
Rhea turned on Liv, and this turn to the dark side wasn't one she would be on her own for, as during WrestleMania Backlash, she aligned herself with the Judgment Day leader at the time, Edge, as well as Damian Priest when she interfered on Edge's behalf in his match against AJ Styles. And from there, the Judgment Day we all know today would then form shortly after when Finn was introduced as a new member of the group and Ripley, Priest, and Balor all attacked Edge to remove him from the group. Even in these earlier stages for the Judgment Day version of Ripley, it was apparent that she seemed more in her element here. This gothic and generally darker presentation lended well in not only making her stand out, but as time would go on, she really became the woman to watch in her division. Partly due to her own immense talents, but also due to a tandem that we haven't touched on yet, but one that would become an almost instant classic.
Puppy knows best, and Puppy knows that he's old man now. Condom.
Now, while the heel turn I mentioned in the Dom video aided him immensely in getting over as a credible baddie, Dom offering him up in this on-screen relationship was one that made many a fan scream at the top of their lungs.
It should have been me! It should have been me!
Sincerely, these two as a pairing were everywhere, on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, on TV. People almost instantly fell in love with this act as something to boo on screen, as they absolutely hated Dom as well as kind of Ripley for enabling him to be a man-child who indulges in chicken tenders and french fries for every meal instead of eating anything else. You're not feeling attacked watching this, are you? Anyway, yeah, arguably Dom was her missing piece here, and she sought to gain quite a lot out of the pairing by having a heat magnet like the freshly turned Dominik Mysterio by her side, and this was sure to keep her in a solid trajectory while she continued building and developing this character people were falling head over heels for. Now that she's got a fully realized, honestly kind of incredible character here, all that was left to do was to win the big one, which Ripley as a character in the wrestling world has proven time and time again that she can do that. But this time it was a little different, as Rhea was fresh off a Royal Rumble win, having put in a record performance in the match by lasting 61 minutes and winning the whole thing from the #1 spot. This set her up with a date where she would stand opposed to none other than the woman who took away her NXT title at WrestleMania just a few years ago, and so at the 39th edition of WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley conquered the Queen Charlotte Flair to take her place at the very top of the women's division, because mommy's always on top.
So, obviously you guys know what's going on right now, yeah?
Yeah, this really stunk. Honestly, I was looking forward to Ripley becoming the longest reigning women's champion in modern WWE history. This time around, it really felt like the whole division was practically centered around her. As such, out of all of her reigns, this was the first one where I really felt that we've seen her as the top woman in the company. And it's an utter shame that it had to end this way. It's also low-key a crime that she hasn't gone to main event of WrestleMania yet. You see, I could talk more about some of her matches since winning the title and transitioning that title into the gorgeous women's world title, but honestly, that's not the point of this video. Rather, it's to focus on the story of a woman who went from being green as grass as a performer to something entirely different, in her brooding yet lively presentation we see her with now. A presentation that proves that she is more than capable of stealing the show on every single night, aka the story of Rhea Ripley. And well, that's the video. I'm curious though, what moments in Rhea Ripley's career connected you with her character and drew you in for more? And while you're headed down that way, be sure to leave the video a like, as once again, if we hit 200 likes for this video, I'll be sure to make one focus on the story of Damian Priest, which if you want to catch as soon as it's uploaded, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when it's up. That's gonna be it for me though. I'm gonna go off and watch some of my favorite Dom and Rhea moments. As always, I hope you stay safe, and that was Dylightful.